priest's admission to a white supremacist past came as no surprise to one local musician, author, and speaker.
Before William Aitcheson renounced his KKK past and joined the priesthood, he was convicted of burning a cross outside of a Maryland home in College Park. Daryl Davis reached out to his parents, offering to help their son. Now, all these years later, Davis is still at it. He's credited with getting dozens of former white supremacists to renounce their past and give up their hatred. He's the subject of an independent documentary. He is currently updating his book, Clandestine Relations, and he is joining us now to talk about his life's work. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What a dangerous work you've chosen to take on.
Well, you know, I haven't found it too dangerous. Every now and then I have a couple of encounters that are a little nasty, but for the most part, it's been a pretty calm thing. And I think both people on both sides have learned something, my side and their side.
Always starts with conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll talk about the big picture in a minute, but the focus right now this week has been on this priest, and I know that you reached out to his family some 40 years ago, and you wrote about this in your book. What was your experience with him and his family?
Well, I knew about him. I remember as a teenager when he threatened Coretta Scott King, and he had plotted to bomb Fort Meade. I think it was the NSA headquarters over there. So I was aware of him, and then when I started interviewing Klan leaders and Klan members, he was a part of that group. And so I interviewed some of his colleagues, and they talked. In fact, they even brought him up because I was interviewing a guy who was imprisoned for trying to bomb a synagogue up in Baltimore, and he was friends with Bill Aitcheson. Aitcheson is the name of the priest now, and he told me a little bit about Bill Aitcheson. So I reached out to him. And I contacted his folks here in Montgomery County, and they said that they would pass the message along to him, but doubted that he would contact me, and he did not.
Did you know that he was a priest all these years? Did you know what happened to him?
No, I did not know he was a priest. I'd heard that he had moved away, and then a little later on, somebody else told me that he had turned his life around. They didn't quite say what he had done, but they said that he had turned his life around.
So now he has basically come forward. He rewrote this confession, if you will. What's your advice for him now? The couple still clearly scarred by the events that happened to them, cross burned on their lawn 40 years ago, what have you. What is your advice? They say they're still waiting for an apology. What would you say if you could hear?
I would say he should meet with them and talk with them and bring closure to this. And if there's anything that he owes them, then make them whole. But dialogue is the key, and that's where it needs to start. He needs to talk to them, sit down, talk with them, and also, as a priest, he is responsible for his flock, and talk to his flock about it, because there are people in his flock who may have the same ideas in their mind that he had back then, and having been on both sides of the fence, he is the best candidate to address it.
So he's stepped away from his role temporarily, at least as a priest. We don't know what's going to happen next for him, but you were saying it would be better for him to maintain a role where he can have an audience, to be open about this and talk more about what he had done to his flock.
Absolutely. I don't think he should leave the priesthood. I mean, in Christianity, we are forgiven. And he has committed a sin against humanity, against God, but he has turned his life around. So take that turning around and set an example for others to turn their lives around.
You've talked with many people, hundreds. You've said you believe that you've helped to turn around hundreds of people, maybe 200 people.
Indirectly, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I guess my main question is, when we look at these events and the hate in the eyes and the running over and killing of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville, in your opinion then, people can be changed?
Yes, people can be changed. And let's be clear about the Charlottesville incident. That was not, absolutely not, about protesting to take down the Robert E. Lee statue.
What was it about?
It was about, with those particular people, that was about starting a race war. And I can tell you why, because I know some of those people, all right? In the Confederacy, during the Civil War, there were blacks and there were Jews who also fought on the side of the Confederacy.
Absolutely.
Okay? And today, there are some blacks and some Jews who have joined Confederate organizations like Sons of Confederate Veterans, etc., who want to uphold the heritage of the Confederacy. Now, these people who were down there marching with tiki torches and all this business, they claim to be descendants of the Confederacy. Why not invite their Jewish and black counterparts to march with them to preserve the legacy of the Confederacy? Instead, they did not do that. They chose to march by themselves, shouting anti-Semitic and anti-black epithets as they marched. So that tells you it wasn't about the statue. Furthermore, some of their ancestors did lose their lives in the Civil War. None of those people that we saw marching down there were old enough to know any of those ancestors, right?
Right.
But they are old enough to know their fathers.
So this is about white supremacy.
Yes, absolutely. They're old enough to know their fathers and their grandfathers and great-grandfathers who fought against who? The Nazis in Germany. Some of them lost their lives or lost a limb through shrapnel or whatever. So why would they honor their great-great ancestors who they did not know and disavow their closer-in ancestors by marching alongside of Nazis?
When you said, I know we have to wrap it up, but when you said race war,
yes,
you know, this I think,
Wahoa, as they call it.
okay, I think that if you're paying attention, and especially if you're a member of a minority community, that is in the back of your head. How big can this thing get? So, in your opinion, instead of going the negative way, how do we stop this before it gets bigger? Are we seeing it being stopped with these counter protests?
No.
What do we do?
No, counter protests are not the answer. The answer is, you know, you want to counter this? Invite the leaders who are organizing these things to come to a table and have a conversation.
And if they don't want to listen, Daryl, if they don't want to listen?
Then you recruit other people to also come to the table.
Speaking of listening,
There
Daryl.
are some people who will listen. People have listened to me and have renounced their ideology.
And speaking of listening, we have 15 seconds. If somebody knows somebody who is thinking they're white supremacist or they have those thoughts, you're the master in getting them to turn around. What do you tell them?
I tell them to contact me at my website, daryldavis.com, DARYL, Davis.com.
All right. Thank you very much
Stay
for
safe in
joining
your
us.
mission. We
Thank you.
appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it.
So 7:39. We'll be right back.